Good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to do the play. I'm going to give you an introduction to the play, The Hairy Ape by Eugene O'Neill. The Hairy Ape is a 1922 expressionistic play by American playwright Eugene O'Neill. It is about a beastly, unthinking laborer known as Yank, the protagonist of the play, as he searches for a sense of belonging in a world controlled by the rich. At first, Yank feels secure as he strokes the engines of an ocean liner and is highly confident in his physical power over the ship's engines and his men. However, when the rich daughter of an industrialist in the steel business refers to him as filthy beast, Yank undergoes a crisis of identity, so starts his mental and physical deterioration. He leaves the ship and wanders into Manhattan only to find he does not belong anywhere, neither with the socialites on the Fifth Avenue nor with the labor organizers in the waterfront. In a fight for social belonging, Yang's mental state disintegrates into animalistic, and in the end, he is defeated by an ape in which Yang's character has been reflected. The hairy ape is a portrayal of the impact industrialization and social class has on the dynamic character Yank. Coming to the characters, Bob Yank Smith, man who works on a ship. He is a leader among the other workers and finds himself rebelling against the authoritarian upper class. He feels he does he feels does not appreciate his hard work. Paddy is the second character, an aged ship worker. He is able to see the monotony of the work and is seemingly aware of the hierarchy of capitalist society. He could be seen as symbolizing the voice of the reason and disappears midway through the play as Yank begins his rebellious quest. Long is another character, another ship worker who accompanies Yank to Fifth Avenue where his initial act of rebelling against the upper class takes place. Mildred Douglas, a young, wealthy socialite who faints at the sight of Yank working in the ship, terrified of his behavior and appearance, she calls him a filthy beast, inciting his rebellion against the upper class. A secretary of an organization works in a labor union and dismisses Yank's ideas of violent rebellion in favor of peaceful strikes and the passing out of pamphlets. Coming to the plot, the play is divided into 8 scenes. In the first scene, in the fireman's forecastle of a cruise ship that has just sailed from New York for a trip across the Atlantic Ocean. Off duty men are talking and singing drunkenly. Yank, portrayed as a leader among the men, is confident in his strength to fuel the machinery of the ship and the world. He shows particular contempt towards two other firemen, Long, an Englishman with socialist leanings, and Paddy, an old Irishman who reflects wistfully on the days of wind powered sailing ships. Scene 2. Mildred Douglas, a steel tycoon's daughter, and her aunt are talking about above deck on the ship whilst sunbathing. They argue over Mildred's desire to do social work, ending only when two officers come to escort her below decks for her planned visit to the ship's stokehole. Her aunt does not understand why Mildred desires to help the poor. She ends up going below deck regardless. In the stockhole, Yank and the other firemen in scene 3, that is, take pride in their daily work. Yank does not notice Mildred when she enters and instead shouts threats towards the unseen engineer, ordering men to keep coaling the engines. The men stop to turn when she enters. Confused as to why they have stopped working, he turns to see Mildred. She is so shocked by his attitude and appearance that she calls him a filthy beast and faints. In the fireman's forecastle, yet again, Yank is mulling over the incident in the stockhold. The other men try to understand his fury by questioning him and asking if he is in love. Yank is infuriated at Mildred for claiming that he resembles a hairy ape. He becomes enraged and tries to charge after Mildred in revenge. However, his men wrestle him to the ground before he can even reach the door. Scene 5. 3 weeks later, on Fifth Avenue in New York, the ship has returned from its cruise. Yank and Long argue over how best to attack the upper class while admiring how clean the city is. Still obsessing with avenging himself against Mildred, Yank rudely accosts several church goers that come out in the streets as Long flees the scene. Yank punches a gentleman in the face and is arrested shortly thereafter. Scene 6. The following night, at the prison on Blackwell's Island, Yank has begun serving a 30-day sentence. Seeing the prison as a zoo, he tells the other inmates of how he wound up there. One of them tells him how about the industrial workers of the world and suggests that he thinks about joining. Enraged by the thought of Mildred and her father again, Yank starts to bend the bars of his cell in an attempt to escape, but the guards retaliate in force. Scene 7. A month later, Yank visits the local WW office upon his release from prison and joins the group. The local members are happy to have him in their ranks at first because not many ship's firemen have joined. However, when he expresses his desire to blow up Steel Trust, they suspect him of working for the government and throw him out. In the streets, Yank comes in contact with a policeman who shows no interest in arresting him and tells him to move along. In the last scene, the following evening, Yank visits the zoo. He sympathizes with the gorilla, thinking they are one and the same. He releases the animal from his cage and approaches it to introduce himself as if they were friends. The gorilla attacks Yank, fatally crushing his ribs, and throws Yank into the cage where he dies. Here the play ends. In the next video, we will be doing existentialism, masculinity, and the themes of social recession by industrialization, racial degeneration, etc. This much for today. Thank you.